Alright,
Alrighty, welcome to the March 2nd, 2026 meeting of the Transportation Committee. My name is Jason Cromwell, I'm the chair of the committee. Tonight we are both joined by District Manager Jesus Perez. Meeting is called to order at 7 o'clock p.m. As a reminder, New York State law requires all committee members who are not able to attend the meeting in person to have their cameras on and the first and last name displayed from the time the meeting is called until the meeting is adjourned. Members of the public who are attending virtually, you may raise your hand or give comments that you have through the Q&A feature on Zoom. Members of the public who are here in person, you can raise any questions that you have by raising your hand. If there's time following committee discussion, we will field questions from the public. Do we have anybody taking, we need a volunteer to take minutes tonight?
I'll do that.
Thank you, Maya. All right, and we will now take attendance by roll call, and Jesus will take the roll call.
good evening, everyone. When I call your name, please indicate that you are present. Michael Coe. Present. You, B. Disman. I see B online, B. Disman. All right, we'll come back to me. Maya Donahue,
Present.
Barack Friedman.
Present.
Thank you, Jason Fromowitz.
Present.
Thank you, Eric Goldberg. Present. Thank you, Sean Lamoureux. Present. Thank you. Anna Pykor.
Present.
Thank you. Miriam Morrow.
Present.
Thank you, Larry Shire.
Present.
Thank you. Gabe Turzo. Present. Thank you. Sherry.
Present.
Thank you. Lee.
Present.
Thank you. All right, perfect attendance.
The agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time by the board office and is reflected on the screen before you. If there's no objection, we will adopt the agenda. Members of the committee, if you object to adopt the agenda, please raise your hand. Already seen objection, the minutes or the agenda is adopted. Next, the minutes from February's meeting, I believe they were distributed ahead of time. Yeah, they were, okay. If there's any objection to adopting the minutes as distributed, please raise your hand. All right, seeing no objection, the minutes from the February meeting are adopted. All right, let's set some ground rules in order to conduct an efficient meeting. No one may speak until granted the floor. Committee members who are here in person, if you have a question about committee business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand and I will speak to you, and I will identify you so you can speak. Committee members unable to attend in person, if you have a question about committee business, you may raise your hand through Zoom and I will identify you so you can speak. All committee members, it's extremely important that only one person speak at a time, so that members of the public watching at home can understand what is being said by each committee member. Chat function for members present via Zoom should not be used for committee business or questions about agenda topics. All such remarks should be made on the record by raising your hand through Zoom. Chat should only be used to alert us to technical difficulties you are having or state in writing information like an email address that was already stated out loud during the meeting. All right, we will now start tonight's meeting agenda. First off, we have, first and second, we have two items about MOU, Langone, and first we'll be discussing parking regulations on First Avenue, between the pickup and drop off area and East 34th Street. Thank you for coming in. I'll give you the floor. If you have anything to present, or if not, we can talk about it.
We had submitted a graphic, I'm just wondering if we've got it. If I don't have it, I can circulate a hard copy.
Not this one, the other one, right?
Yes, this is.
Yeah.
Yes, this is it. Do you want to come up to the table so that we can get you on the mic?
Sure.
It would help, share.
Do you want me to stand or?
No.
So what this graphic shows, it kind of shows, First Avenue, and it shows we have like a turnaround space outside of our ED. It's got the numbers 1 through 11. So there are approximately 11 parking positions for ambulances. And these are predominantly to kind of offload patients and for EMTs and paramedics to clean the ambulance, resupply the ambulance before they can get back out on the road. what we had requested, or what we're requesting is in the no standing zone, which is on First Avenue, there's approximately 13 spaces. Our request is to put a sign that says ambulance parking only in addition to the no standing zone. Because what happens is it gets a lot of, just general cars parked there. And, what happens is the ambulances end up parking in the bus lane. And I think when we constructed Kimmel, there's an agreement that NYU would purchase a number of ambulances. I think we purchased 3 for the city of New York. And we also have 10 ambulances that are stationed at NYU. And we get another 60 to 100 ambulances that, as part of the 911 system, will come to our ED to drop off patients. And when they're waiting for another call, they're queued up. So we wanted to have a place for them to queue up, because we obviously can't fit that many in the turnaround area. So the request to the community board would be for us to be able to have this ambulance parking only sign in addition to the no standing sign that's already there, because what's happening is it's all cars now. We can't park any ambulances there.
I'm assuming you have, cars are parked there legally, but
Yeah, it's not enforced. The no standing zone does not appear to be enforced.
any questions?
Right on. Okay, I want to ask you about the space that's marked number 19. It strikes me that if that was be maintained as a no standing and no parking zone, you'd have a daylighting as ambulances race into the emergency area. Pedestrians are going to be blocked by any ambulance that's utilizing that space because they're very tall and wide. What do you think of that?
I think if the community board wanted to recommend it, like, we've shown 13 possible spots. If we wanted to reduce that in the name of safety, I think that's fine.
Okay, I want to just put that out there in case we ever have a resolution that we should call for that to be a daylighted area.
Larry, because this is 19,
19.
wouldn't that, as a daylighting concern, be, because ambulances coming in would be coming from the north on First Avenue.
They or east on 33rd Street and then turning again. Oh, no, I'm sorry, they'd be going straight in, but
Right.
oh, I'm sorry, I'm not talking so much about the ambulances coming in there. That would be more related to space number 18.
Okay.
But 19 would be for vehicles that are trying to enter the Kimmel entrance. A similar concern where they're making a right turn.
Right.
Just a question for you, Fred. Right now, the cars are parking illegally. So you want to change it to another sign where cars will still park illegally? Or do we think that saying that ambulance thing, that nobody's gonna park in the ambulance spot, or, I mean, they're both illegal. So it's just kind of, is it just kind of window dressing? I mean, I don't have any objection to this,
I
but.
feel like we got a fighting stance. I feel like if people understand that, I would say if you ask like 10 New Yorkers, define what a no standing zone is. They probably don't know, possibly don't know. But if we had like this supplemental sign that just said ambulance parking only, it's like, I think people would be more respectful.
Mhm.
I mean, maybe I'm being optimistic. I get your point.
No, I don't have objection to it, I'm just putting it out there.
Can I ask, what type of illegal, it's maybe a weird question, but what type of illegal parking are you seeing there? Is it just people like?
Waiting.
Standing. Is it standing? Is it police
No,
placards?
these are not, there is nobody in the cars. Like, people are just, I think people learn very quickly that there's no enforcement, so,
Do you believe they're staff of the hospital? Like, I guess I'm just. trying to get at
they're not staff. Staff at the hospital actually get like a discounted, if they want to drive in, they can request it, they get discounted parking stickers and they park, their staff parking provided under the FDR Drive, we have 2 lots. So that's where they would go most likely.
Got it, okay.
Yeah.
When you say they're driverless, for what period of time? Because I can imagine somebody dashing inside to get somebody out in a transporter, who's waiting in the lobby to get picked up. Do you have any kind of a sense of that?
We have 2 drop-off areas. One is in front of 540 First Avenue, which is like the kind of the main entrance to the hospital. And we have another drop-off area at in front of Kimmel. So we actually have 2 drop-offs with queues. I think that these cars, you know, I can't imagine who they belong to or why they're there. But they're there all the time. And what we would like is we would like to use that space for ambulances because there's just not enough space to queue the ambulances before they're dispatched on call.
Mike,
Actually, what does the blue color represent next to the,
The blue color is kind of like kind of like no parking within an ambulance turnaround, because that's where the EMTs, paramedics are bringing the prams into the ED, so it's kind of like the ED entrance.
so in that area, it's like no parking, right?
Right.
Is that like to replace the supplies, or is that to bring people in, or?
It's to bring either people in or, before they go out, they kind of resupply and they clean up the, ambulance, and then they wait for their next call.
I'm in support of the, ambulance parking areas, cause like, I think it's actually a very good idea, cause like, it's no standing. It is a bit confusing, no standing, no parking, no standing, that's the only cost, it's to get picked up and dropped off. No parking, you can pick up goods and drop off goods as well. And that's confusing it. Gives to a lot of people, and so I think that ambulance only parking makes a lot more sense.
Hi, I just, you just mentioned something that I just wanted to check on. You talked about the parking that's under the FDR Drive. And just sort of as a community member, that's one of the things that's very disturbing about the NYU footprint in the area, is that is space that I believe should be community space. And the fact that we're ceding community space for parking is really unsettling to me. So I just want to understand how that plays in to, this requested change, and what are your intentions with the parking spaces that are above ground, given I think you've got a whole parking lot at the facility.
Well, there are actually 2 parking lots. There's one, where 34th Street butts into the FDR Drive, and then there's one kind of further down, and then there's actually another one for Bellevue. Bellevue's got the space kind of to the south of us. I can't really speak to like, do we lease the space? Is it the city space? I'm not really sure. I can tell you that it's mostly employees of the hospital that park there.
Yeah, and I would just share for the committee is obviously this is waterfront space that's currently used for parking. And even if it's for employee parking, I just feel like employees could take public transportation or park in the hospital lots as they choose. And it's just, on bottom line, very offensive to me every time I walk down the FDR and I see this waterfront space that's for parking. So for having a conversation, we should at least entertain the way that, the hospital impacts the community.
yeah,
I'm very supportive of your thing, but things don't happen in a vacuum, and we're here tonight asking for this. And we've got parking space that corrodes the waterfront and our access to it.
agree and share the concern. I don't think that would be suitable though for the ambulances in this case.
It's not for the ambulances, yeah, I'm just saying,
I
yes.
feel like it should be raised and won't be people be in dialogue and have.
I know, but I'm saying we've been in dialogue for years, right? And nothing happens with the dialogue, so I'm just.
Well, I
I'm
think
just
to
sharing.
be fair,
Yeah.
and correct me if I'm wrong, the main point of contention has been the area that Jesus has in view right now, which has been since turned it back over to the city. I agree with your
That's
concern
not,
on the
that's
other.
not the main area.
Yeah,
That's not the
whatever.
main area of concern. That is a small area of concern. The entire waterfront from 34th down to 18th Street.
So,
Parking.
yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you that it'd be nice for it to be open. I don't know if as a community board, we've just taken issue with those other spaces though, historically. You tell me, I'm not aware. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to comment on that? But either way, you have a couple.
So, I mean, yeah, I mean, a couple of things, we did get rid of the one. This board is no fan of illegal parking, anywhere, so. My question, and I'm broadly supportive of this, my question for you is, do we actually have any data on how illegal parking has harmed ambulance response time?
I'm actually thinking it does, and I'm not like a traffic engineer, I'm an architect and I'm a regulatory director. I would think what it does do is the ambulances will just queue up in the bus lane. You know, which is another problem. So I think we're trying to get them out of the bus lane and into the parking lane.
Understood, and one quick follow-up question, you guys communicated at all with the 17th precinct about the
Enforcement.
inconsistency?
We haven't, I think that the issue would be like, if it says no standing and an ambulance was parked there, like, that would include the ambulance, right?
Technically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think, I'm not sure that
Oh, no, I
helps
think
us.
I am personally very supportive of making this ambulance parking only, is my opinion, but I would be curious to know, because once we change the signs, to Brock's point, people who park illegally are apparently aren't great at reading, so.
I feel like it's an and.
Yeah, so.
Change the sign.
Just a few things. I mean, one, we did a walkthrough and the cars are definitely just standing there and nobody's in them, nobody's moving, and we were there for a while. And then to your point, NYU does go on diversion, because of all the cars there. And when it's very busy, it can't handle the ambulances coming in. So it is a medical issue. It's not just, thing. And this committee should know that this was already requested to DOT, was denied the request, so we would be overruling their opinion. So it's just worth it. I suggested that there be an ED drop-off or walk-ins, or if somebody comes in with a taxi and wants to just drop somebody off in front of the ER, I suggested that, which was present to leadership, and they weren't really interested in that, but I still think it's a good idea, but anyway, just wanted
Yeah,
to.
can I just add to that? I realize other people have their hands up, but. One of our concerns was, we had a working relationship with, and I don't know if DOT is on this call, but. We had a working relationship with the previous Manhattan Borough Commissioner, and when we sent in the letter. It was at the acting Manhattan Borough Commissioner, so I'm not sure. If there's like another person who's now the borough commissioner, or if there's changing policy with the new administration, this was at the end of the Adams kind of administration.
It's just worth it for the committee to know that that happened.
To be clear, we can't overrule DOT,
Right.
we can ask DOT to
And
reconsider.
she was appointed borough commissioner.
Let's go to B. I see Michael Douglas. Let's go to B.
Thank you. So I actually support this request, but I would like to think about what Larry said with daylighting. I think if you look at the emergency rooms, and unfortunately I've had to use it recently a number of times, the number of ambulances that line up is amazing. Since Beth Israel closed, it's even more. So I think this is an important resolution. I think the idea of the parking lots is a separate issue that we should take up separately, but to deal with the emergency rooms. Thank you.
Next week. With regards to the daylighting, could you pull the diagram again? Could we move, is it needed or would it be helpful if we also extended the ambulance parking across the street? There's metered parking, I believe, on the other side of First Avenue.
Correct.
If we want to make up for the spots that we need to be removing for the daylighting, if that's necessary. I think I would be supportive of that. I don't know if you have
Are we saying like remove the metered parking across the street? And put-
either two spaces or some of them, maybe not all of them. But if that'd be helpful, but we could probably do the whole thing as well, I think. I'd be supportive of it personal.
Well, I think we didn't think of that because there is the residence across the street, in the IMP buildings. You know, we thought that this was closer to, you know, more fronting the hospital.
I think we should do both. I'm not suggesting we only do it across the street.
And I just wanna add one thing to what B said was that one of our capital projects right now is we're expanding our ED because we're overwhelmed, with the amount of patients that are coming in. So that's like a big capital project for us. So I think the current situation is only gonna get worse.
Michael, go ahead.
Actually, I would say, like, in addition to this, like, a lot of people are talking about the parking lot as well. And I was thinking like, what are you doing to encourage like? People, I've seen the parking lot and I'm wondering like, what are you doing to encourage people wanting to work in the hospital? To use alternate means of transportation to commute to work.
Well, I would say that I'm a Manhattanite. I live up in Inwood and I take Metro North to Grand Central and I walk to the hospital. And so I think there are a lot of, I don't think everyone could drive to the hospital. I think there are a lot of people who use mass transit, coming from like the city, but also coming from Long Island and New Jersey.
I want to follow that up. I'm guessing Michael also means as far as your package to staff. Or are you giving MTA passes and so forth?
Because I'm
Yeah,
supportive
I
of
think
this
it's
discussion
going
on,
far afield.
the employee parking and
Yeah.
the waterfront, but I think we're getting off topic on the ambulance.
But I could tell you that, like, you know, I have we basically get pre-tax dollars for the parking, similar to like, you know, a lot of other New Yorkers. We don't really get any kind of great benefit, you know, for taking mass transit.
Okay, do we have anybody, the other, oh, sorry, we have a comment from the public, basically, they believe that some of that parking is NYU security, that's using it, and they ask if there was an ambulance parking lane a few weeks ago, that had been cordoned off. I don't get my comment here.
So I can't speak to, I don't think our security staff has vehicles. You know, they're all kind of on foot in the hospital. There was a capital project that was done by Amtrak. Amtrak they're upgrading their tracks, which actually run underneath the hospital. And they upgraded, they have like what they call a communication shed, which is on their south ventilation tower. They have two ventilation towers that are in tax lots that are within the super block. So they own those ventilation towers. And they built a communication shed on adjacent to the south ventilation tower. So we allowed them access. I mean, I feel like it was in everyone's best interest. It's our tax dollars that are going to pay for this federal project. So we granted them access, and they kind of took over a large part of the bay, ambulance bay. And during that time, they provided personnel to basically discourage people from parking there. And we tried to get the ambulances to queue up on First Avenue because they didn't have access to the turnaround space because Amtrak is working there. I actually think Amtrak still has DOT permits for laydown space on First Avenue. Kind of where the north ventilation shaft is, like that area is still Amtrak, and I believe the city of New York is improving the curb cuts for the pedestrian crossing, so the city of New York has construction going on both sides of First Avenue.
I want to raise something. Larry, your concerns on, daylighting, I agree with you, although I'm questioning if it might be more effective to have given that people are not observing the no parking and no standing regulations today, we maintain that as no standing.
Well, I'm saying exactly that. It should remain no standing anytime. And people who want to do the drop-offs, which is what Barack was talking about, would have that opportunity if that was enforced to drop an individual off who wasn't taken by ambulance to the emergency room.
So I'm not opposed to it. I just question if, it seems like it will. I wonder if putting it as no ambulance parking only might actually effectively make it clear more regularly than.
I'm not sure I understand what you're recommending.
Suggesting maybe we do change it to ambulance parking only,
Well,
in effect that.
Well, the reality is that you're gonna have an ambulance there that's gonna block the view and is gonna block access to the curb.
Which I agree is not ideal, but I think the alternative is.
Which causes two problems.
Right, but I think the alternative is cars parking there illegally.
Well, that can be dealt with. Towing, ticketing, harassment, having people talk to, or leaving flyers. There are a lot of subtle ways that you can discourage this if you want to.
Are there
But I
currently,
don't think it should be ignored, and I think it has to be addressed.
does
I don't disagree
NYU
with this.
currently own enough ambulances to fill all 11 spots plus 12 through 24?
Ambulance, NYU owns 10, and they're kind of like, I believe the way this works is we pay for them and we give them to the city. And they're part of the 911 system. I think all the EMTs and paramedics are city employees. And I think the intent of the turnaround space is basically pull in, drop off the patient, refurbish the ambulance and then get back out into
A loading space.
right, a loading space. What happens is in the morning, I believe that they have like kind of like a check-in, they get their assignments. So, the morning is like a peak time for us, and also we could have a situation where, we have a lot of ambulances all at one time.
So you're saying it's likely that all these spots could be filled?
Yes,
Okay.
So they're based out of they have like a facility.
we have 10 ambulances are based out of NYU.
Got it.
But you take more than.
We could have, well, any like fire department ambulance or other ambulance company can come to NYU because we're part of the 911 system.
Right, okay.
Michael,
Honestly, I think like the better we get the ambulance response would be great. And if we could do it in a way to improve both the access to care for local residents and improve the bus service at the same time with the bus lane, I think that'd be amazing. I think honestly, we should go for it. And I feel like, honestly, like, then an opportunity to really help people get to the hospital and get the care they need, because like on the Lower East Side, on the east side of Manhattan, I was also involved with some efforts to keep that Israel open, and they closed, and so now we're down to like one emergency room. And I think that's a good idea, to try to improve access to the hospital.
perfect.
I was just gonna say, it seems like there's no real objections to this, so I'm happy to write a resolution and we can bring it up next week, next month, if you're okay with that.
Do you want to include the daylighting suggestions that Larry made in that resolution? Probably, yes.
Maybe sure.
I just add just one last point, and I agree with the intent of this, is just to share with the friends at NYU that it'd be wonderful if you came to the community board with a give back to the community. As we think about this, so to be proactive and to think about how space like that on the waterfront could be returned to the community.
Just note on that, I do think that's probably most appropriate with the waterfront committee.
Regardless, they're.
Yeah, no, I
They're here and they're asking, and we punt every time.
I
on asking
just wanted to say why I don't think we should add it to.
I'm not saying, I don't think we should either.
I wasn't saying,
Yes,
I
don't
just
think we
wanted
should
to point
add it
out why
either.
we're
Yes.
not doing that.
I don't think we should add it either.
Okay,
Different issues.
yes, go ahead, Blair.
Okay, and for the resolution that Barak is volunteering to write, I just want to clarify that the daylight and serves two purposes. One, it frees up the curb for drop-offs. You know, casual drop-offs of people to the emergency room. And the second is that because large vehicles, tall vehicles, wide vehicles will not be parked in a place where another vehicle will be making a turnaround. Pedestrians on the sidewalk could be visible to drivers, and they could also see drivers who would be crossing their path. So it's specifying spaces 18 and 19 to be reserved as no standing anytime would, for those reasons, be part of the resolve.
Okay. Great, all right, let's move on, unless anybody else has anything to add, we'll move on to the next topic.
Oh, no, we need to call a question.
No, because we'll vote on it next one.
Oh, that's.
Okay, next on the agenda, similar request from NYU, no standing at 302 East 18th Street to allow for delivery of oxygen.
Did they join Fred?
Yes, please, and I'll just, introduction, we also did a walkthrough of this area, correct.
So just as some background on this, NYU, or this orthopedic hospital, I guess NYU's owned it for about maybe 20 years. I think it was originally either part of Beth Israel or City Hospital. This facility does a lot of like orthopedic cases. It has something called like a manifold medical gas system. So what that means is that cylinders of gas are dropped off by a truck now to the point on a daily basis, and they're brought into like a med gas manifold room off of the loading dock. They're connected to a manifold. The empties are kind of stored. So it's kind of a very involved process, and we're to the point where we're using enough medical gas that we can't like, basically we can't keep up with the demand. And we've actually, it's been recommended by authorities having jurisdiction at the federal level and at the state level that we need to upgrade our medical gas systems to what's called like a bulk system. So the bulk system would be a larger tank that's outside. Many of the hospitals have these, and this would be for liquid oxygen. It's actually safer because it's outside, and we can store more liquid oxygen. And it would be less risk because we don't have like gases within the hospital. So we had started this process many years ago, and the original intent was that the offloading would be adjacent to the loading dock. And we kind of went through a process with the city of New York, with the city planning, the building department, the fire department. And we kind of got to the end of the process, and our supplier kind of felt that it was not compliant to offload gas where there are these large openings in the building. We have like our loading dock is there. So they wanted to change the design. So they changed the design so that gas loading would be on 18th Street. It's not near any openings in the hospital. But the problem is that the gas, the truck that delivers the gas is a larger truck. And it needs to offload over the top of what they call like a spill pad, which is concrete. Liquid oxygen can't come in contact with any petroleum projects because petroleum products because it can be volatile. So we have like the next diagram kind of shows the proposed area for the truck drop off and the spill pad actually in the street. So this would be a no parking zone. We try to get the gas company to drill down and tell us exactly when they were delivering gas. The problem is that they're delivering gas to like many medical facilities in Manhattan, so they can't like give us precise times. So this would be like no parking all the time. And another problem is that we can't really have cars parked over the top of the concrete pad, because if it gets any kind of oil or gas on it, the trucks won't deliver the oxygen because it's too dangerous.
And that would be for 4 spaces, about 80 feet. So it's 70 feet from the center of the spill pad, that box over at the left, that's the concrete pad. That's where the back of the truck would unload the gas into the fill box. And then it's 70 feet to the front of the truck, so it's about 80 feet from the corner.
All right, Michael?
I have a question, so the spill pad looks like it goes a little bit onto the sidewalk. And I also wanna know, like, what does the spill pad look like, and like,
I think the spill pad is just like a concrete pad in the roadway. I think the roadway is probably asphalt. It has like a asphalt topping with concrete underneath. So asphalt is a petroleum product, so it's not suitable for, like offloading liquid oxygen. So we would be just building this like 12 by 12 pad in the street.
what does
It's
that go
level
with the
with-
sidewalk?
level with the street, and it has to be clean all the time. If there's any oil on it, we have to go out and clean it.
So is it like ruined if somebody accidentally drives on it, or?
No, you just can't park on top of it. Some oil might come from a car.
And what about the sidewalk? It also extends on the sidewalk.
I don't think so. I think it butts up to the side.
Okay. All right.
I have 2 questions. First, concerns the alternative in terms of what is the state of the art of manufacturing the oxygen on site rather than having deliveries.
I couldn't answer that question. But I guess we could.
Because you have if you go on an airplane, because I had the experience of having to get oxygen in an emergency, and they manufacture oxygen in the airplane cabin. So I wanted to inquire about that as an alternative.
Well, this is also liquid oxygen.
I understand, the purpose of the liquid oxygen is to have a far greater volume of it, that you can store. So maybe that's part of the answer. So the second question that I have, involves, I'm trying to picture what a day in the life of this operation is going to be. Starting with, how do you, police the area here to keep people from parking on the pad? Along to, when you do get the deliveries, how do you get it inside? You have to block the sidewalk for how long? And again, how do you prevent someone from creating a hazard, because this could explode perhaps if someone has ill intent?
Well, I think that this procedure is actually happens all over the city of New York. It's not new. We actually have it, at our Manhattan campus, but it's on 30th Street. We had a bulk oxygen facility on FDR Drive, and it was a threat because, it's in the flood zone, so we actually paid to relocate it to higher ground on 30th Street. So that's a DMAP street. We didn't have to ask the city of New York for permission, but we have the same problem that you just brought up with people parking there and even one of the biggest offenders is the medical examiner's office. But I think we've worked out a deal with them. We know what their cars are. We call them, we tell them the oxygen's there. Can you please, park someplace else for, half hour or so while they just offload oxygen. So this is like a common way of delivering oxygen to like a medical facility. The problem we have with this facility is that we're kind of boxed in on all sides. Our front door is kind of on 17th Street and it's got the entranceway and accessible ramp. And then on Second Avenue, we have like a bike lane and we have bike storage and there's a pedestrian safe zone. That plus all the, openings in the building, it was, that was our preferred choice and it was rejected. So this is a kind of the only, our only spot. We have kind
I
of,
understand the rationale and it's a good rationale. I agree with it. But I'm just trying to get a better idea of how it would be managed. We
So
have people who are
the-
visiting the building
Right.
who aren't easily communicated with in advance and you're not gonna have an understanding. They wanna park there while they bring their relative up to get their knee operated on. They're gonna wanna be there 2-3 hours. They see this empty space every day and they violate your parking regulation.
Right, well, that's the back of the hospital, 18th Street, the front of the hospital is 17th Street.
No, I understand
But
that.
basically, the truck would pull up and there's a hose stored on site. So the driver would connect the hose to the back of the truck to a built-in fill box. And
Is that gonna be elevated 10 feet above so pedestrians can walk under it?
the fill box is on the property line.
But
where the
how high
fence
off
is
the
now.
ground? Would be?
The port would be low, so the hose would be on the ground, they would have a jersey barrier that would go over the hose, and it would be there for the 20 or 30 minutes that they are filling the tank from the
Would
truck.
pedestrians be able to cross it? For 20?
No, we would have there would be a jersey barrier there.
So I mean, obviously our hospitals need oxygen. This strikes me as eminently reasonable. The consequences of illegal parking seem substantially higher here than on 33rd Street. Is there any plan to prevent this proactive plan, working with instantaneous towing, working with the city council person, who I think should be Virginia Maloney for this district? Because it strikes me, you can't have somebody just randomly park there. The cost is very high.
it is very high because what we experienced on the Manhattan campus is that when the truck comes, if someone's parked, they'll just keep going. And not only that, but we actually get charged for the delivery, even though we didn't get any products. So, I agree that this is a problem.
We already hated illegal parking and now it's life and death.
My presumption was that if there was illegal parking, that the truck would block 18th Street. Is that not correct? That they would just simply not be able to do the delivery?
We asked about that.
Yeah, it would be oily blacktop. I can do that.
Is that for minute?
Well, I think the problem is that Airgas, who's our supplier, says that if they have to do delivery from the center of 18th Street, similar to like what every oil truck in the city of New York does, the hose would be too heavy, so they will not do that.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, got it. Michael, I see you, but I just want to make sure nobody else, because you already spoke. Got it, Michael.
So when they have delivery, do they connect the truck to the spill pad or do they connect this somewhere else in the building? They get the
So the spill
oxygen.
pad is in the street just so that oil doesn't get on the asphalt. It has to be a clean area. They connect the hose to the truck. And then the hose goes to the fill box, and then there's piping underground that goes to the tank.
Oh, the spill box on the spill pad or?
No, the fill box is on the property line. It's a vertical box with a port, you know, maybe 18 inches above the ground that the hose connects to.
So it's across from the sidewalk, on the other side of the sidewalk to the property line.
Yes,
Yep,
yeah.
Oh, yeah, that.
better.
Now, let me float this idea. If your pad was connected by piping underground into the building without having to connect a temporary hose, would this not make the operation more efficient and safe?
Air gas. We wanted to have a bollard with the fill station in it. Air gas was opposed to that. We wanted to have a.
I'm sorry, who?
Our vendor, the people who deliver the oxygen. They don't want a fill box built into the sidewalk. They think it'll get moisture in there, mold, oil. So we wanted to recess the fill box into the ground. They didn't like that idea. We wanted a bollard, a stanchion where they could connect to. They don't like that idea because they're afraid someone will hit it. And then even a bollard with bollards around it, they didn't like that idea either. They don't think that's gonna work. So we tried different design options.
I think this is a fairly low pedestrian volume area, not to say that it's ideal, but I personally don't think it's gonna be a huge inconvenience to pedestrians.
I thought your question, can hospitals manufacture oxygen on site? I thought that was a great one. I didn't know the answer to that, but I just had to Google it, and it's very unusual, very rare for a hospital to do that, because you need large scale industrial equipment, and which orthopedic hospitals are fairly small Manhattan-based hospitals, so I think it's probably a no-go for this. And I guess my question is, you do multiple deliveries there to this hospital. Can this site also be used as delivery for multiple other things? So that's the second question. And then we also, just so committee knows, there's some sidewalk parking by NYU security, and kind of discuss with Patricia, maybe she's on the line,
I'm right here.
and there, hey, Patricia, and then that's being addressed, and hopefully that stops. So thank you for that.
So we actually thought that the no parking was a good idea, because it allows us to do deliveries here as well as in addition to the oxygen delivery. So, I mean, I thought that was a great idea. And I guess we are addressing the issue of the car parked on the sidewalk internally.
Yeah, no, just a thank you, just to Eric's point about community relations, so, and thank you for addressing that. And then just to say that we have a resolution, I don't know if we can bring it up. People have
Yes.
comments, I just wanted to make amendment to it that they want 80 feet, which I didn't write into the resolution, and there's no objections, we could just add no parking for 80 feet.
It says 81.4 feet. Is that what you really need, or is it 80 feet?
I think the issue is that, you know, we're trying to, the problem is the hose, right? The hose is a set length. So this kind of dictates, and also all of our equipment is in the side yard of the hospital. So you kind of set your, our tank, and then the hose kind of dictates where that spill pad is. So, you know, the spill pad, it looks like the spill pad's 12 by 12. So the truck wants to kind of back up onto it. So it looks like there's a couple of feet between the spill pad and the crosswalk. It'd be nice if it was, I agree, if it was a little more efficient in the space, but I feel like this is the best that we could do.
Well, if you wanna ask for 82 feet, ask for it.
I think what we did is we asked the, our vendor, like, what was the dimensions, and this is what they gave us.
So
So
tell us what we should put in our resolution, we'll ask for it.
It looks like it's 81 feet, 81.4 feet from the edge of the crosswalk to, the white solid line where I guess the, metered parking is.
Yeah, that's probably how we should describe it in the resolution.
Sounds very reasonable.
So just, can we do it, violators will be towed with this typical DOT, no standing or no parking, or is that like do we need a separate thing?
I don't think they do that anymore,
Mm.
but we don't have anybody from DOT on tonight, unfortunately.
Okay,
Well, we can recommend it even if it doesn't happen.
yeah.
Yeah, we can put it there.
Does the community board know how that works? I mean, as like a Manhattanite, I'm curious, like, would we, as the owner of this business, hire a towing company to do that, or is that something the city of New York does once you get a ticket and then one of their tow trucks comes and they're authorized to remove the car? Do you guys know how that works?
I could give you how I think it works, but not as like an official answer. I'm pretty sure it's on the police precinct. I don't think you have a private right of enforcement, but you should confirm with DOT. They'd be the ones.
You're pretty close to the precinct.
Yeah, it's only a block away.
Here, so this was in probably Epstein's.
Yes.
Virginia Mullins.
Okay, you're right. Yeah, I feel like it is Harvey's, probably.
Yeah, one's Virginia's, this
Oh,
one's
okay,
Harvey's.
this one's Harvey, yeah. Michael, did you have something? Did you want to add something, Michael?
Actually, I was thinking like, with the spill pad, like, what happens if someone accidentally parks on it?
I think that we're gonna be responsible to clean it. Like, and I think that if air gas comes and they see that there's a petroleum on it, they won't deliver. So I feel like the maintenance of the spill pad is on us.
Can you go down to the,
Resolved.
thing? That, Manhattan verse 6 supports the establishment of a designated 81.4 foot no parking zone.
81.2 or 4, sorry.
81.
Make it
But-
100.
Round up.
Yeah.
Great.
Is it, okay, let's see, is it mention of the pad in there? No result.
Does not mention it.
Which zone, which is a something.
Which includes a 12-foot concrete pad?
The spill pad is 12 by 12 located in the roadway. Adjacent to the sidewalk.
So you can say,
Which includes.
yeah. A 12 by 12 foot,
12 inches.
That would be an achievement.
Still there? Still there? No, yeah, that's
What?
still there.
Still
there. Still there.
Okay. Concrete, yeah, okay.
yeah, I think concrete because the material is important.
Yes.
Spill pad. Adjacent to the sidewalk, are we gonna ask for that buffer zone space? So they know where on the avenue to
Adjacent to the
put it,
sidewalk.
or on the
I
street?
think there's a white line that kind of goes where the end of the zone is.
I don't think we need to get that.
Okay,
level of
just checking,
technical
well, I was
detail.
saying like where the spill pad was specifically, since it seems to be at the back of the truck.
I think for the purpose of the resolution.
It's fine.
They'll refer to the
Got it.
diagrams as it pertains to actual implementation. Yeah. Okay, any other
Did you have a comment set off adjacent to the sidewalk or two comments or? No comments.
Trying to get a little bit,
Maybe you can take out the comment next to roadway.
I put that in there for readability. Establishment of a designated 81.4 foot no parking zone, which includes a 12 foot by 12 foot concrete spill pad in the roadway.
Jason, to the sidewalk on the side.
Sidewalk.
I think it's fine.
On the south side of East 18th Street, just east of Second Avenue.
The comment would be after street.
It's a long sentence, but whatever.
And then, the second comment after second hand.
We should diagram it just to.
Well, we can include the exhibit, right?
Yeah, we can
Yes.
include a picture.
We should
Okay.
include, well, we'll add the picture as an appendix when we put it together for full board. Okay, any other comments, concerns? If not, do we have a,
Call the question?
great, just wait a second.
Second.
Great, okay, move to a roll call vote.
Sorry, we're putting a note in here just so we don't.
I just meant diagram the sentence, because we were talking about.
I mean, we probably should just have a diagram for,
No, that would help people.
yeah, while we're reviewing it.
Without having to ask questions.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, you guys are voting on this?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right, you're voting to adopt the resolution that was just before you. When I call your name, please indicate whether you are in favor, opposed, abstain, or not entitled to vote on this resolution. Michael Cohen,
In favor.
Beatrice Dismond,
In favor.
Maya Donahue,
In favor.
Barak Friedman,
In favor.
Jason Pomowitz,
Favor.
Eric Goldberg,
In favor.
Sean Lamoureux,
In favor.
Anna Piker,
In favor.
Miriam Rao,
In favor.
Larry Shire,
In favor.
Dave Turzo,
In favor.
Jerry Weinstein,
In favor.
unanimous in favor. And so carries and moves on to full board. Next week, the week after.
Well, I appreciate that transportation committee's help and understanding with this issue. I mean, I can assure you all that we tried every which way to make this not to be, try to get the best solution possible.
Okay, so yeah, we'll vote on the other resolution next month, yeah, this one will have been full board next week, no need for you to come back next month, I don't think, unless you really wanna be here, but, yeah.
And you all seem like really nice people.
Not me, some of you. Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you for coming.
Yeah, cheers.
All right, we will now move on to the next one on the agenda, which is discussion of garage access for 333rd Avenue. And we have, Mr. Rich Mintz,
May I have permission to turn the table in this conversation?
who is speaking as a member of the board,
I'm
that board. the
Yeah.
building board.
I'm here on behalf of, I have 6 copies of what was emailed to you in case.
I don't think it actually made it out.
Okay, all right.
We'll just,
So I'm here today on behalf of the board at 333rd Avenue, which is the first building on the left on Northtown Third Avenue where the new street configuration was. And I would just like to say that I'm trying to be an honest broker between the concerns of the board and this committee. I helped draft this memo, and other members of our board and our superintendent and our management company are all on this call, so. The biggest concern that we have is that, as you may be familiar with the configuration of that block, we have inset parking, which used to be a parking lane, but had bulb outs put in on both ends, on the north end because it abuts the 25th Street Plaza. Then we have a separated bike lane, then a parking lane, then there are now 2 lanes of traffic. And a bus lane on the far right, with a parking lane next to it. So, it was a big change from the, I believe, 5 lanes of traffic that were formerly there. This is where, Third Avenue opens up from, 2-way to 1-way, and so, traffic would formerly essentially spread out at speed into all the lanes, right in front of our building. You know, there are various concerns which I'll touch on briefly, but the main concern is that access to our garage has become treacherous. Parked vehicles are not respecting the clear zone, turning into the garage, which means the access in and out of the garage often requires people to use a bike lane. The existing striping isn't clear enough. There's not enough of a clear zone, or daylighting zone, especially because postal trucks are stored there, so you can't see around them, which means driving out of the garage is dangerous. And our service entrance is right next to the garage entrance, which means, you know, there's no safe place to put, vehicles that are loading or unloading, moving and so forth. One thing that I don't know if the traffic engineers that planned this understood that this block carries northbound traffic coming from the south side of 23rd Street, along with all of the turning traffic from 23rd Street. And the 2 traffic lanes are very tight, which means things are backed up all the way across 23rd Street for much of the day and night. Honking has gone up and so forth. So, you know, there are broader concerns that we have with the configuration. We understand we're not in a position to ask that the street be fully reconfigured. And I think all of our board members would agree that you know, there are advantages to the current configuration. Lots of people like the bike lane. People have noted that the bus is faster. But we would ideally like to solve the loading and unloading problem. And we have a few recommendations. I mean, the biggest challenge is that we have a lot of older people in the building who now have to load and unload in the street, meaning in one of the 2 traffic lanes, which essentially backs up traffic down to 22nd Street or further. So there are a couple of things we want to ask for. One is we would like the parking lane to be converted to a commercial or loading zone. 2 is we would like the striping to be made clearer so that the location of the pedestrian space is more obvious, especially for people who are confused. We would like a clear path to the northbound bike lane to be striped so that we don't have bikes cutting diagonally across the intersection and seemingly coming out of nowhere as older people are attempting to cross into the refuge. We are open to having physical obstructions in the daylighting zone, planters, boulders, whatever the city is willing to place. And finally, we included a proposal to restripe the area where the bike lane currently is and the inset parking area as a shared space, like on Broadway below 23rd, to provide safer access to the garage and to the service entrance. And in lieu of using that inset parking area as pedestrian space, converted back to loading a loading zone or commercial parking, for all the service vehicles that use the building. The idea, if we did that, is that it would be shared space up to the point of our garage entrance, then would merge back in with the northbound traffic in the main traffic area, and the bike lane would continue, north from the middle of our block, past 25th Street and on. So that is a very concise, formulation of the concerns that we have in our building, and some things that we think would help. We have tried to focus on practical and actionable solutions, rather than, on complaining. Because we would rather have our practical issues addressed, than, fight an unwinnable battle against the forces of nature. And that, I'll stop there. I just want to emphasize that I'm speaking on behalf of the board, not on my own behalf in every regard, but I agree with most of this. And would support any of the things that the board is asking for. And I'll stop.
I think that you're talking on behalf of 330.
334.
Not
334, not community.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, sorry, this is not my meeting.
Okay, okay.
So first of all, I want to thank you and, people from the building coming to voice your concerns, appreciate that. Just one thing is that when DOT did the project, they had to stop, because it got cold and the DOT can't paint, once it gets below a certain temperature, so everything is incomplete. And I'm not totally clear what the, how the final striping will be marked, but definitely needs to be better, definitely needs to be improved. There was a truck boiler room there that was,
Yes,
thankfully
that's
removed.
fine. And believe me, we appreciate it more than anyone else.
And that truck there kind of was like a marker for other drivers to legally park there.
Yeah.
And so it's confusing for drivers. So that whole area needs to be marked better as pedestrian space. And I think that would go a long way to protecting the pedestrian space, because, one of the biggest issues in Manhattan, our sidewalks are really overcrowded. And there's a shortage of pedestrian space. And people interpret that as, oh, I hate when people walk side by side, but everybody should be able to walk side by side and talk.
Can I just add two things to that? One is, the same is true, the block above between 25th and 26th. They also have inset parking that can't legally be reached, that I assume is going to be, the intent is to convert pedestrian space.
Yeah.
And the other thing, in the interest of, straightforwardness, I have to say that it's our board's opinion that pedestrian traffic on the block is not happening. And our board is concerned that if that becomes permanent pedestrian space, we'll have even more noise and disruption and smoking from the bars adjacent.
And I will say that that's one of the top concerns in CB6 is a lack of park space, a lack of pedestrian space, and that's always been the top concern. Okay.
Rich, you mentioned potential for planters.
Yes.
For DOT my understanding for DOT to do planters, they need a maintenance partner who plants and water and clean trash out of them. Is the building willing to take such a caretaking role?
I can't commit the board, but I think there is a good chance that our board would be willing to take responsibility for that. We already maintain planting in the tree beds. We have a very competent and dedicated building staff, and also we have members, residents who I think would enjoy doing a little gardening. So there's a very good chance that we would.
We would need some sort of commitment. But yes, okay, very good. One other thought, we do have a policy on establishing no parking zones in front of residential buildings, that we passed a resolution on a couple months ago. I see that as falling into addressing some of these problems. Potentially straight in front of the building, we could establish a no parking zone.
Well, remember, there's two, areas. There's the parking lane that is protecting the bike lane.
Yes,
And then there's that inset zone. Are you talking about the
the
parking?
parking lane, yeah. If you're concerned about like drop offs, we could create a note, we could request no parking for. Only in front of the building entrance and maybe also in front of the service entrance.
I mean, because there needs to be access across, it would basically be the whole block. And that would mean that, commercial vehicles, essentially, our service vehicles would park there illegally, is what would happen.
That they would park there illegally?
Probably,
Um,
because they have to go somewhere.
sorry, which vehicles would park there?
The service vehicles that service our building, we have a lot of, it's a 200 unit building. So we have construction going on and, 3 or 4 apartments at a time and, maintenance vehicles that come and delivery and so forth. I'm not saying necessarily that that's the wrong thing to do.
But do you not want that? You would have to be, I guess our policy, the board, the building would request that.
I think, what we want is, probably an extended, clearly marked clear zone, at the south end, for loading. And then commercial parking, commercial parking beyond that. But we might prefer, no parking there for loading purposes. Because right now, like, we have people who use Access-a-Ride, and those vehicles are loaded on the right side. So the vehicle is in the left traffic lane and the loading is in the right traffic lane adjacent to the bus lane, and all traffic has to stop.
Yep. I'm sorry, you lost me on the striping versus the no parking.
Well, I'm honestly, I can't speak for the board about whether they would prefer a full, no parking loading zone in front of the building, or, loading zone, or commercial parking, because really, we have both needs. And, that's assuming that the curbside space becomes pedestrian space. If that is,
That's definitely the intention that
Yeah.
is, if you look at the designs, that's.
No, I know that's
intended to be, it is pedestrian space. It's not effectively managed today, but it is.
that's sort of what we are saying, that it makes it very difficult to operate the building if vehicle access is not allowed there.
On the curb, directly on the
At the
curb.
curb, yeah.
I see, okay, go ahead, Larry.
Rich, this is a building which has its own parking garage with internal access to the building.
It has its own parking garage with a human access to the building and not loading access. Like, it's just a door into a hallway.
But could that in some instances be utilized by tradesmen being permitted to park in the garage and then have access to the apartments?
I don't know whether the vehicles that are used to service the building would fit in the garage. Certainly,
Well, maybe some of them could.
some of them might.
I just want to put it out
Yeah,
as a suggestion to alleviate some of your concern.
that-
I mean, obviously, it won't do it for the larger vehicles, but it might be an arrangement that the residents could agree upon would be popular for them.
It would impose a cost on the building, because that garage is subleased to an operator.
Yeah, well, you'd have to reimburse them,
Yeah.
or the tradesman would have to reimburse
Yeah.
them. And then the tenant who has the work done would have to reimburse the tradesman. Well, I'd recommend that rather than imposing a cost on the whole community.
If that parking space is turned into a loading zone, why do you need the curb space? Why can't the service people pull into the loading zone and use that? Why do they need to pull into the
Well,
pedestrian?
they could, but they would be, I mean, they would be parking for, you know, extended periods, so it would not be legal for them to do that. For loading zone. You know, hours, like, you know, we, for example, we have been having an elevator maintenance project and there have been vehicles in front of the building for.
But
hours.
is there any change in the amount of parking? Right now, there's increased parking because there's illegal parking and the.
Yeah, although we've stopped.
And the
doing-
regular parking.
We've stopped doing the illegal parking
Oh,
now that the trailer is gone. There's very little
Oh,
of it.
that's great. So is there any change in the amount of parking? Because it's just shifted.
Well, yeah, because of the daylighting on both ends.
There's no daylighting. Oh,
There is.
Oh, where the garage is.
There's a pedestrian zone that's maybe, I don't know, 12 feet long on the south end. And then there is a clear zone before and after the garage entrance. And then beyond that, there's no parking at all. We also lost the space.
Because I mean, it's a 200 building, there's 200 apartment buildings. There's never gonna be enough parking.
No, I know.
No, every building in Manhattan says, oh, we don't have enough parking, literally every single one.
I understand.
So, you know what I mean? We could just knock down all the buildings and Manhattan could just be all parking.
Yeah.
And it still wouldn't be enough.
Yeah.
But,
Understood.
but, I think if that parking space was loading zone, I think that would go a long way to solving your problem.
What I would ask then is that you let me go back to our board and ask them. Since you say you need a request from us in order to do that.
A petition?
I don't know if we need one, but that would be the ideal approach.
Just ask for a petition.
I'd ask for a letter of support.
A letter?
from the owner,
Okay.
or petition.
Or a
From the
petition.
board, you know, members, the people living in the building.
Okay.
I'm not positive, actually.
Can't
I'm not
remember
positive.
the- yeah, I can't remember the word.
I'm sure you can get it. I was just gonna ask a favor, can you look in the resolution tracker and see if we have the designs, sorry, not the resolution tracker, the minutes tracker, and see if we have the designs for Third Avenue, just so that we can see the diagram of how the streetscape is laid out.
Let me look.
It is in there because I pulled it down before.
It's the end, it's there. Do we have other thoughts? Yes, so I agree that I think that would be the. My preference on how to handle this would be, creating some loading zones, agree with Brock that. There's just not enough parking to go around, I don't think I don't support removing of the pedestrian space. I'm also unclear why. To Brock's point, the pedestrian space creates a impediment to service vehicles. They just have to cross the pedestrian space and the bike.
Right, but you mean if they're parked in the what you're proposing for loading zone?
Or the existing parking.
You mean this right here?
There should be one with.
There's the new conditions. For 25th, for the 24th to 26th stretch. This may not be the
Yeah, I don't know if this is the right one, sorry.
latest.
This would have been from like December, when did we discuss this? Would have been like. October. September, October. Let me try to find it.
Can we go back to the question of why the removal of the pedestrian space impacts the service vehicle? I think that's what I asked.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, there are a couple of things. One is, there is a lot of heavy equipment moving in and out of the service entrance.
Sure.
Which would be, you know, right now would have to cross the bike lane, from a traffic lane. Is this it?
Is it? Yeah, thank you.
Can you scroll to the drawing of the new conditions for 23rd to 25th. That's it, no, up. Up. That's it, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna just step over here and point. Um,
I'll make it bigger.
okay. So,
Jesus, you may follow with the pointers so people online can see.
so this is people standing in what, is intended to become, expanded pedestrian space.
Wait, sorry, that's the other side of the
Other
street.
side, other side, Rich.
It's a
Oh,
yellow.
yeah, it's upside down, or I'm upside down. I'm gonna stand over here. So this is the proposed expanded sidewalk, which is currently inside parking area. There's the bike lane. There's the parking lane. There are the two travel lanes. The bus lane, and then there's a parking lane on the far side. And so, Jason, what you're talking about is, and at the end of the block, there's pedestrian, there's clear space cut out. What you're talking about is converting this to a loading zone.
Some portion of it, I mean, we could talk about doing the whole part of it as well,
There aren't that many spaces. It's like, 3 or 4 spaces.
I would, I'd support removing all 3 spaces, but we can.
If we turn it into a loading zone, I mean, realistically, it would be used for extended loading. And commercial activity, in some part of it. That's something that is outside the scope of this committee, whether people use it legally or not. As long as they're not disruptive.
I mean, we could theoretically address that through what sign we ask for.
Yeah.
It could be no parking, no standing, it could be a loading zone.
Yeah.
We have the discretion to ask.
We could have a policed by us loading zone on the south end of the block, right near the building entrance, and then commercial parking further down, for example.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So sorry, so if we did give you that, why is that inadequate for the loading that you would need for building service?
Well, I think, there are, members of the board who are concerned about, people being unable to load from curbside. I mean, what would realistically happen if this became pedestrian space? I don't know if the plan is to actually raise the concrete.
In the
just
long, very, some other lifetime.
I mean, realistically, what is likely to happen, for example, for Accessoride, is that the vehicle will pull into the bike lane, to load, which is not.
Why would it do that? They would
Because,
use the loading space.
it would use the loading space, but then people would still be loading in moving traffic, from the right side of the vehicle. But I'm not sure that, I don't know if that's avoidable.
In the bike, you're saying they'd be loading into the accessorized vehicle from the bike lane?
No,
Is it the right side of
they would be loading, the vehicle would probably pull in here, and they would be loading from,
Could they utilize the corner as well on the?
around the other side?
Yeah.
No, we have, postal vehicles parked there, 24/7, basically, all the time.
Could we make that parking a loading?
Well, it's
zone?
already illegal. There's nothing you can do about postal vehicles. I can't call on you, I'm not running.
Mike, go ahead.
How about? If you put in the parking lane, a stop just for accessorized. And have, in that lane, have a mid-block crosswalk so that they can access the accessorized from there.
I mean, actually, the idea of making it accessorized parking. Which could also be used for, which would all, in practice, also be used for loading is not a terrible idea.
We could do that in
I mean,
theory
I
if you
would-
want to.
I would wanna bring this to the board
Yeah.
and say specifically, but that's actually, that's not a crazy idea. I know you had another question, if Jason will call on you.
Yeah, so I think you should take back to the board about the parking thing, but another concern that I was reading in the packet was about the number of travel lanes and how the bottlenecking has
Yeah.
impacted the street, and so I was wondering what your proposed
I
ideas would be.
mean. I don't know what to suggest,
Okay.
other than to, I don't really know what to suggest. I mean, you know, the idea of putting shared space at curb is one thing, but I mean, really, I think you're trying to pour, you know, a gallon of traffic into a quart bottle. There, given that it's 23rd Street and Third Avenue all feeding up. So, I mean, some people would say, I'm sure there are members of our board who would say that the bus lane should be removed.
I was gonna suggest, would you give up a parking lane for a travel lane?
Well, I mean, we can't give up both the curbside parking and the existing parking lane. Because we do need loading and service space.
I'm gonna give you a little bit of a hard time, and many other blocks have there are many buildings along protected bike lanes and pedestrian spaces, and they manage to continue to operate and exist.
Understood, and
I don't really see why this is any special situation that isn't already addressed on First Avenue, Second Avenue, Sixth Avenue, et cetera.
And I'm here honestly representing the concerns of the board.
Understood, just stating my point of view, Larry.
I'm gonna say, I don't know how many years you've lived in the building, Rich. But were you there when the 25th Street was converted from a traffic street to the pedestrian plaza?
I was not, but multiple members of our board, including our chair, were, and our building manager were all here then.
This particular board has been very, very active in lobbying for what it wants. And they created the situation that we currently have that you're now complaining about. Where no, I'm just saying it's
No, I just wanted to be clear what.
no, because our board met with the representatives of DOT in the lobby of your building. We had a meeting there, right there in your building, in person. One of the concerns then was that a lot of traffic, and this goes to what Maya was talking about, a lot of traffic now going west on 25th Street has to turn and go north, and that's part of what's that's part of what's causing the backup that you're complaining about.
Yes.
Instead of allowing the traffic to more naturally progress down to 23rd Street to go further across town, it can't be divided between going west on 27th Street and 23rd Street. So, you know, I just wanted to bring up that bit of history. It's still possible to reconfigure this particular block to make it two-way. And then it would alleviate the traffic. And I think for a lot of people, it would perhaps solve problems, but it would require a different traffic engineering configuration. Personally, I think that's the way to go, and something worth studying and something to ask DOT to consider. This particular thing that you're asking for doesn't solve the underlying problem, but it's just an answer for your board.
I actually agree that would be worth looking at. In other words, extend the two-way stretch.
One block.
Up one more
25th
block.
Street.
But I am saying that on my own opinion and not on behalf of the building board, because we haven't discussed it.
Quickly, with regards to the funneling, I think DOT has committed to revisiting the design of Third Avenue below 24th Street, so I think there's a larger redesign.
No, it's the area between 24th and 25th that we're concerned about.
Well, I mean, it's really, yeah.
Well, I think my point is that Third Avenue is
It's
in
in
progress, and that I agree that there is a problem with traffic on, I see it extend down to me on 19th Street as well. In creating this funnel, so like, I completely agree that like, there's deficiencies with how the roadway is designed. We have asked for a redesign of Third Avenue south of this area, so I hope DOT intends to come back with a plan, and I hope that will ultimately address the congestion and funneling issue we have.
Right.
There actually is no funneling issue at your block, because between 23rd and 24th Street, where Willow's going up, and there's only 2 lanes going north between 23rd and 24th. But then when it gets to your block, there's still 2 lanes going, so there's literally no funnel issue
Well,
happening there. So that's one. And then 2 is, if you're just saying people are honking more, so we need to wide all the space to give everything to drivers, because people are honking. All of Manhattan, again, destroy all the buildings, just give them all the drivers, because everybody honks everywhere. It's our culture. So we can't just widen blocks because people honk. And the third thing I would say is I really don't get the loading zone here, because that's how people load everywhere in New York City. There's a space next to a sidewalk or next to a bike lane, and then the driver pulls in and then people get in. I don't get that concern. I don't get any of those concerns.
yeah.
So, and it's not meant to attack you, I'm just.
No, I understand. I think part of the issue there is that, when a taxi stops to pick someone up in that left traffic lane, traffic backs up to and beyond 23rd Street.
When there's no loading zone.
When there's no loading.
So that's why giving you loading zone.
Right,
Would address that.
Great.
Well, I mean, it strikes me as in all things, the problem is parking. Those 4 spots are the low hanging fruit that are causing this huge bottleneck. So if those were the loading zone and or commercial parking, it would really alleviate a lot of this,
They are commercial parking.
but they're also personal parking.
Are they?
Right now, they're not. Right now, they're metered.
Yeah, so if there's one from meter to commercial and or loading zone, I think it would alleviate a lot of this. And I mean, as for honking, yeah, I live right there. I'm your neighbor. I live a block away. The honking is out of control, and we need ruthless anti-honking enforcement up to and including removing your driver's license for anger honking. I see the rest of my time.
All right, thank you. Michael?
Honestly, when I looked at the image of the garage, I was wondering, why can't we have like part of the extended sidewalk, part of it like, put like in a different color or something to like indicate where the garage is? So that people know, like, make room to get, for getting into the garage and stuff.
I mean, I think that's a good idea. The bigger issue though is what's happening out at the street, and I do think that no matter what we do, we need better daylighting. Especially on the south or approaching, side of the garage. But Brock, as you said, it's not done.
No, I think that's a huge part of the problem. It's an unfinished project.
Yeah.
Sorry for talking after. Yeah, unfinished project that, pause for the winter.
I don't know how you wanna wrap this up as chair. I don't feel we need to take any more of your time.
Finish up.
I'd like to move to table this till we have, more construction of this, corridor, come striping season.
Would you like me to go back to our board to have a discussion about, how we would like those parking line spaces treated?
Yes, and I will refer you to our policy select reso on how to request those changes. And so, yeah, if you'd like to make a request for changes, but come back to us with that with the requirements.
Now, it will likely be a request both for re-signage and for, daylighting and support of visibility.
I'm gonna make the suggestion that, before you formally come back here, that you observe, for perhaps a period of time, how the, DOT's, ultimate, striping and, markings work out, to identify a more specific problem and solution. Since right now we're maybe only talking theoretically.
Well, I may be wrong, but I think the lines are down. I think the main
Are
thing
they?
that's
Yeah.
incomplete is the pedestrian space designate, making
Filling
it clear the.
And pavement treatment, like of the refuge. It's outlined in lines, but if they're
Oh,
painted,
I
it's,
see.
that has.
I presume they're going to fill that with like gray.
Yeah,
It's
the
like brown.
mushroom color,
Yeah.
yeah.
And with planters there and with paint and with pedestrian signs, that would be like I'm gonna move to your building.
It would help.
Yeah.
Yeah, I. We should check with DOT in terms of what's needed to establish planters. I don't know if we need a resolution, or
Okay.
we could just. You can ask them nicely, we can do that as a follow-up, and so.
Well, I will report back to our board on this. I mean, they're listening and some of them are listening in right now.
I'm only suggesting that this, and we don't have to formally table it. I'm just suggesting that we may have better information when drivers get used to whatever the final or supposedly final configuration is. And if you're gonna have a request, it could be related to that.
Okay.
I do think the planters are a good idea in general. I think there's a number of other areas in Manhattan where you see this pedestrian space, and in the absence of like hard infrastructure, it's often abused as illegal parking.
I mean, I'm on my way here. I looked and there was a postal truck parked blocking the entrance to the garage. So like,
So yeah, I think, yeah,
I mean, Freddie, our super is like, drives him crazy.
yeah. So yeah, I think that would be a good general solution.
Okay. All right, well, I appreciate all of your consideration and your time. And with your permission, we'll leave it there and let you go back to your rest of your business.
Thank you, yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks, Rich. Appreciate it.
Alrighty, all right, we're gonna close that item out and then move on to second last item on the agenda, which is. Continuing discussion of obstructions to clear sidewalk paths in Manhattan Community District 6. We had a productive conversation via email on this. We have a revised reso addressing concerns around the tree beds. Primarily, does anybody else want to give a better intro in terms of what was changed?
I may, so I think, yeah, we had a small group and we had a back and forth about it. The big issues was, from our meeting last one was the tree pits. We don't want them touched. Stoops and buildings. We don't want buildings torn down and stoops torn down. There was another one that we wanted sidewalks widened where they're insufficient. So those are the three differences from the last time we saw this.
Does anybody have any comments, concerns, questions, motions?
Also, you spelled out the width.
Right, the minimum width should be 8 feet, 4-foot clear path with room for amenities. Should be the minimum New York City sidewalk width.
Like,
What about having wider than 8 feet sidewalks? What if we aim for like 9 or 10 feet sidewalks?
Right, that's what I.
Yep.
Yeah, that's just the minimum, like for low traffic sidewalks. The DOT has different designations of sidewalks, like if it's Fifth Avenue, then they have a different designation, but the absolute minimum. That was a sticking point, was the side streets, and what the minimum should be for a low traffic sidewalk.
I mean, a 4 feet clear path, that's a little bit like. I mean, that's not a lot of room on the sidewalk, it's like.
That's the minimum for a low traffic side. That's not like 42nd Street or Fifth Avenue or Third Avenue. That's like 17th Street, you know what I mean, a sidewalk, a side
and
street.
so today we have no minimum. So the idea is starting from 0 to 4 feet. And then we're gonna be,
Yeah, I'm comfortable with the resolution. I'm concerned on some level that we're adding a level of bureaucracy rather than cutting through it. That it'll be, with the gas that we just heard from NYU, that it'll be a case of, well, fire ultimately needs to opine, but it's also DEP because it's a hookup, but then it's also Mayor's Office of People with Disabilities because it's also an impediment, and then DOT signs off. I'm worried it won't cut through in the way that we're hoping it will. Hopefully, because I appreciate that in the reso, there's the vision plan. Hopefully, things like that will mean that, this overrides, supersedes other concerns, and therefore, you can't park on the sidewalk, you can't impede this way. Width is important, accessibility is like the top of mind. It will come down to money and political fortitude to see through something where it's consolidated and not just another level of bureaucracy. And so I think the mission of it and the way it's written is saying that that's what we want, and I hope that that's something that it would translate to in reality.
Right, that's the current situation right now. This asks for it to be congealed into one bureaucratic institution.
Yes, but
But yeah, that's currently the way it is.
that is the way it's run right now, though this would just be establishing the DOT is the ultimate decider. In reality, they're not gonna be the fire inspectors and the experts on, you know what I mean, like, they're not going to be the ones at DEP installing the city bike dog, you know, like, it's not. And so that's, as long as, it will take money. It'll take money and a big DOT, and I think that's what we're calling on. And I just wanna make that clear on the record, that I think it'll take a much more robust operation than just like, y'all pick it up as you currently exist as an agency.
It's gonna be.
I feel like honestly,
I think
like,
They're gonna be.
So I think I followed the discussions back and forth on the resolution, and it really dealt with a lot of the issues that we brought up at the last meeting. I do agree that this is the beginning point, and there has to be accuracy, there will be bureaucracy, and there will be money. But I think this is a good starting point to ask for very specific things. So I'm a big supporter of the resolution as written.
You, all right, Michael, go ahead.
I wanna know, like, how are we gonna make sure that, like, sometimes, like, when I see, how are we gonna make sure that the 4 feet of clear space is enforced? Cause sometimes, like, I've seen that, like, people, like, street vendors sometimes, or food carts, they sometimes set up on the sidewalk or put it in the parking lane. So how do we make sure that's enforced? They don't put it right in the sidewalk.
Yeah, so I think by having DOT be the agency responsible for this, it would give them enforcement authority around this, whereas today there is there's no agency responsible for this, so that giving DOT control is an attempt to solve that, is that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's
it would move.
Yeah, Larry.
Well, when we were discussing these changes, Anna, the thing that you were talking about really didn't come up with respect to who's going to be a lead agency. For example, when a street tree dies, it's not the DOT, but it's the Parks Department Division of Forestry that has exclusive jurisdiction over a replacement of that tree. So I see the DOT as essentially being a coordinating agency and not stepping on somebody else's territory to the extent that they can get another agency to respond to a need. It's more helpful than the current situation. And so that's why I support this resolution.
Okay, seeing no other discussion, do we have a
I have
motion?
one, I have one more question.
Okay.
It was also raised about city bikes and outdoor dining. Is there a reason they weren't included, or were they just less discussed, or was it? I know we did the stoops were entered and the.
Yeah, I don't think we brought it up specifically, but I think we should add it in, which would be quick to add in.
That we don't want to remove outdoor dining?
Well, that's the question. It may be more complicating than it's worth, and I do want this to be passed, so I don't wanna undermine it.
I think we dealt more with the really hard
The
infrastructure.
hardened infrastructure, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
I personally think we don't want outdoor dining in places where it would restrict the clear path.
No, but I mean, ideally outdoor dining would be in the parking lane.
Right, that was part of this
Right.
conversation.
That's
Reading it,
a separate issue that
as well.
handle it differently.
Yeah, that was part of the, yeah, again, if it's complicating, we
You
can
have a part.
separately address how we should be using parking spaces for those two uses, that's fine. I just wanted to ask the question.
Got it. Cool. Okay, seeing none of the discussion, do we have a motion?
I move the resolution.
Thank you,
I'll
Pete.
second it.
All right, Larry seconds.
Second,
All right, and we got a third from Michael, so then we will go to vote. Jesus?
All right. The resolution regarding obstructions and clear sidewalk paths in Manhattan Community District 6. When I call your name, please indicate your vote on the resolution that was previously shown a few moments ago. indicate whether you are in favor, opposed, abstain, or not entitled to vote on this resolution. Michael Cohen,
In favor.
Pete Disney,
In favor.
Maya Donahue,
In favor.
Barack Friedman,
In favor.
Jason Pomowitz,
In favor.
Eric Goldberg,
In favor.
Sean Momoro,
In favor.
Anna Pinker,
In favor.
Marion Ralph,
In favor.
Larry Shire,
In favor.
Gabe Turzo,
In favor.
Jerry Weinstein.
In favor.
Unanimously in favor. It moves on to full board for this month.
Right, the board.
All right, last item on the agenda, discussion of financial year 2028 statement of district needs and budget requests. Zeus, will give you the floor. Okay, yes, good, because I'm not prepared then.
All right, so, hello, everyone. I am not Brendan. He explained to you what this is and why we're doing it. He also explained that you guys were to reach out to the office with your take on what the most important need as far as transportation and mobility issues are concerned in this district. In preparing for this, I only saw about 6 people that actually did do that, so. So I read those responses. 3 people said that the CB6's current bid, accessibility should stay the current bid. 1 person said bus service and quality. 1 person said open space and street activation, and another person said subway service and quality. So, the main thing we need to do is we need to decide which of these dozen or so things is this committee going to build consensus on and say, this is the most important transportation and mobility issue for this district. It does seem like there's already a front runner, accessibility, which is our current pick. Does the committee have any discussion about that?
I submitted my vote for accessibility, and I still think that a lot of what Miriam said last year stands, and I think we have a lot of work forward on reaching those accessibility goals, and I think we are working towards that, but I don't think we should remove it as our current pick. I think it's evidenced by a lot of the stuff we talked about even tonight, that accessibility and creating that more broadly, whether that's elevators in the subway, whether that's more pedestrian plazas that are closer than maybe a larger park might be for somebody, or just the clear space to be able to walk down when there's a ton of snow and there's only one tiny footprint for you to walk through. I think it's still our most important issue and we should keep it as so.
I think I'm the person who said subways. If I didn't, I was going to. I think we should use every possible format to advocate for the Second Avenue subway to be built on a earthbound timeline, not a New York timeline. And this would be an important avenue to do that. So I advocate to put subways at the top of the list.
Could we change it to Second Avenue subway rather than subways? If that were, is that enough? Can we amend this list?
No, you can write in an other, but what I would suggest you do is, if that's what ultimately wins, though right now it only has 1 vote, you would pick subway service, and quality, and then in your blurb, because there is, if you see here, there is a blurb where you sort of make the case for why this is the most important need. You can then go into further detail.
I have a follow-up question on Gabe's specific goals.
Please.
Is it to primarily do the Second Avenue extension first, or are you talking about the entire Q extension as the priority?
Well, as it runs through, our district is, I guess, what, phase 3. So
Right, so you want it before any potential extension of
I'm
the,
not saying that. I'm
Okay,
saying
I'm just trying to
that
clarify.
we risk.
my opinion
um,
differs then.
Yeah, no, I'm saying we should use every moment, every lever we have to advocate for it being built southbound without any delays after they're done on 125th Street, and with all expediency, with all policy, clearing the path so it doesn't take centuries to build.
All right, Larry.
And I support what Gabe is proposing. And I want to say further that we need to start planning now, simultaneous with the construction of the Harlem extensions that are currently in works. Because when they're done with that work, we should be able to start constructing this right away, keeping the same crews hired without having to stand down and then get the thing started up, which will take a few years.
Let's go to Michael and then me.
Well, honestly, my feeling is, we should add the Second Avenue subway to the list. I think it's a wise move. But I think accessibility is important because we need to do a better job of honestly clearing the streets during like the last time we had a blizzard, recently. I don't think they did a great job of clearing the streets around the bus stops and bus shelters. I think it was remember the day after, there's a lot of snow piled up towards the bus stop and some of the curb cuts. I think we also need more tactile services at the curb cuts, and more places for people to sit.
B.
So I certainly want to see the Second Avenue subway extended, but I think accessibility for our people that live in our area, it's taken too long to get elevators and other things so that people can use our public system. So I would keep accessibility, but I wouldn't be opposed to listing further down the list the continuation of the Second Avenue subway, even though I think it's impractical now, given where the federal government is over the next 3 years.
I'm gonna try to draw a connection between accessibility and the Second Avenue subway. So if the Second Avenue subway were extended in its expected capacity, it would be accessible. The station would be ADA accessible. So by extending the Second Avenue subway, we would also be improving access to public transit within our community, access to public transit for areas east of Second Avenue and Second Avenue. So I think that's actually a pretty meaningful way for us to address accessibility is the installation of the Second Avenue subway. That will have my vote.
But you could interrupt you. So you could just add including the Second Avenue subway. You could leave it the way it is and include the rest of it, including the extension of the Second Avenue subway, and make it one ask.
But we would still be making the ask as accessibility as the main ask, I guess.
Accessibility.
Including, you're not defining.
Point one being grounded in Second Avenue.
Well, hold on, let's go ahead and finish there. Did you want to finish?
No.
No, okay.
One thing to clarify, just to be doubly clear. These things, I know it's a list, but these are not like the budget requests that you guys prioritize and rank and that we have the Airtable for and all that stuff. You already have do the Second Avenue subway budget request. What this is asking you is to take a more sort of higher level view of things and say, what is the one thing, if you had to pick just one overarching need? Right now, you've got accessibility, and essentially the entire case is made, the entire case that you make is, we want subways with elevators in them. That's how you address accessibility. Yeah, some of the responses that were submitted for accessibility were more nuanced, as you heard, dealing with shoveling bus shelters and blizzards, dealing with accessible pedestrian signals at pedestrian islands, and some people mentioning equity in the public transportation system and things like that. So that's going to be the second part of this. Once you decide on which of these is the most important need, then you're going to start making your case for it. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about, what you're adding here. If you want to work the Second Avenue subway in, maybe, but people are still sort of leaning towards accessibility, you could work that into the blurb. And you do also have it as a as a budget request. It's very ambitious, but keep those distinctions in mind when you're having this conversation.
Other comments?
What do you propose? Do you propose that it would be subway, and that's a kind of accessibility?
That's my proposal.
And so that would be the first listed item under the current accessibility?
No, my proposal would be that we just highlight subway and I think, basically, I'm just making the statement. I think, I agree that accessibility is important.
We have to choose one of these categories,
Yeah.
either subway or something called accessibility, and then have a description following it. So which of those two are you proposing to be the chosen?
Speaking as a member of the committee and just a vote in the committee, I would vote for subway service to be the main ask.
Okay, and then,
And my justification for that is that we would be improved. I think accessibility is also very important. I think we would be addressing accessibility significantly by advocating for a second avenue. So,
okay, thank you.
I disagree, and I don't think it's something just called accessibility, and I am a huge proponent of adding the Second Avenue subway. As mentioned, it is one of our budget item requests, which I think will make a lot of moves, but also you have to contend with, if the city is looking at a lot of stuff, we have the highest ridership and the most reliable M15 on Second Avenue already, so are you going to then ask for a subway and then not also be advocating for pedestrian islands, or how can we improve curb cuts so they're not flooded all day long after it rains? How can we do the elevators? How can we do all these other things that people, as we said, need now? And it's gonna take years for the subway to come in. I think we should prioritize.
Service asks.
Sewage too, it's a litter problem, is the reason.
I know, but I'm saying these are all things that accumulate into accessibility. Like, I don't think it's fair that we can walk over a puddle, but somebody's wheelchair has to go through dirty water. And I think we can fold in the subway into accessibility. I think it's nebulous enough for that, but I don't think it's this like huge pie in the sky cloud term. I think real things could be done to improve people's lives in that fiscal year.
I would propose what you did, but flip it, so it is accessibility. I chose the pedestrian plaza, because I thought that was a big overarching thing that could capture a lot of what we talked about, but now that I hear you talk about more about accessibility, I think that's even a broader thing that includes a lot of what we talk about, and in terms of accessibility, it's kind of like lifting tide rises all boats, right? Where if a disabled person can do something, that makes it easier for us as well. And so that can hit a lot of those issues that you've all mentioned. And it still has the guiding principle of like accessibility is really important to us. We care about everybody, but also we care about the Second Avenue subway and puddles on the sidewalk and bus service level boarding. And I think that can all fit under accessibility.
Yeah, I agree. And I think accessibility also goes, I know it's like does talk about infrastructure, but like the MTA just recently started doing, like, if you go out into like Queens, they'll do like you're approaching whatever station, but somebody who has an accent from like that local neighborhood. And so it like is including accessibility of the different types of New Yorkers just into our transit system that's beyond just like physical disabilities. And I think there's a lot of stuff we can encompass in accessibility.
For M15 is no substitute.
I love the M15.
So
I'm not saying we shouldn't have a subway. I do think we can fund it. I just think we can do a lot of things.
Choosing between these two doesn't seem to make much sense because the subway is from the state and this ADA is from the city, so it just it's really hard for me to say, let's choose between the two, but I originally said ADA, but now I'm saying Second Avenue subway because that's gonna cost billions of dollars, and the chance of us getting without us putting it number one, I think is tough. Whereas ADA, we're gonna be, I mean, that's just baseline, we're always gonna be addressing that. It's super important, we're always gonna be addressing it. So I just put Second Avenue subway is number one, because that's gonna be our hardest to get, and we're gonna have to fight for that one. Yeah.
And it may be the biggest bang for the buck to do the subway. If this were a 10-year vision statement, it would definitely be my vote. I'd have to go with accessibility in the meantime, just because it it is still very lofty asks for very real things for the next year. And it includes subways.
Sorry.
I support the Second Avenue subway. Because I look at accessibility more in terms of the local district service delivery, something that the board already keeps keeps an eye on and keeps pressure on as a matter of what its general function is. But we, in terms of a planning, I see us as being a more planning body. It's, I think it's more appropriate to seek the Second Avenue subway unless there was an accessibility project such as passing the ADA, in and of itself, that would be a priority, but it's been the law since 1990.
And we still have so many stations that don't have elevators or accessibility. I think that's where we can put the pressure. And we do have like the
Well,
budget
in our
request for Virginia
district,
subways.
in our district, the only stations that don't have accessibility are Third Avenue and what else?
That's also not malfeasance, that is actually there's legal reasons we can't do them quickly, and, we should be advocating to change those laws.
As part of accessibility work,
Honestly, yeah, like, get rid of Wick's law, that's the,
as part of accessibility.
Right, instead of the service delivery, when we're talking about, passing laws and that type of thing. And that's where I come to, going to the Second Avenue subway and that advocacy, but, I understand and, I want the things you want as well.
For sure.
We already
Sherry,
have-
Miriam.
oh, sorry, Brian.
So I want to echo how Larry just framed things. I feel like this is our shot annually to actually make dreams concrete, and that the work we do on a monthly basis is maintaining pressure and solving things that are within our immediate range. So I feel like this is the appropriate use case to remand a Second Avenue subway.
Miriam.
I am still with accessibility being our priority. I think accessibility, similar to what Sean said, like it's gonna improve the quality of life for everyone. Accessibility also isn't just elevators on subways. I've seen people struggle with getting off a train car who's on a wheelchair, so accessibility is way bigger than just working elevators. I also see a lot of people struggle to get on the bus, especially older people, and that's like an everyday thing that I see. And at some point, I'm gonna be one of those people who's gonna need more and better and safer streets, and so I say accessibility number one
I'd
still.
like to point out, those of us who are advocating for the Second Avenue subway are not against accessibility.
I think most of us in the Congress is all in support of the subway.
Okay, do we have any other,
Good.
are we only between accessibility and subways? Are there any other?
Let's
Uh,
do.
we can do a vote then.
That's team fair.
No, sorry. I just wanted to be clear that we're not debating any other of these. Okay, I think we've had a robust debate and we should move to a vote between the two.
Sounds good.
Would that be appropriate?
If you guys think, well, the way you guys vote, like on a reso, you have to choose one and that either passes or it fails. If you're trying to sort of see which of these will get the most hands, we can sort of do
Okay,
that.
but not as a formal vote.
No, probably
Okay,
not.
Fine, very good. Yes.
Another option, not that I like to drag things out, but one other option is, you guys, go home, think about it, sleep on it, come back, ready to make a decision at next month's meeting, maybe even start working on the blurbs for those of you who are disability. Revamp the verb so that you can really make your case, and you can really, maybe the blurb will be the thing that clinches it. Those of you that are Second Avenue subway, you're gonna have to completely draft a new blurb, because right now the blurb does not reflect that. And if you make the most compelling case, maybe you'll win some people over to your side. That may be another option to take.
I like that a lot, as long as there's no urgency for us deciding this tonight.
We need to get this done by like September-ish, so you can wait until next month, if you're actually gonna like think about it and do the work and.
Okay, so I'm gonna volunteer Gabe to write the blurb on
coinage.
Second Avenue and Maya to write the modify the accessibility.
Yes.
As necessary, and then we can,
Picturing like more.
we'll review both, then we can make a vote in our next meeting.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Okay,
And if
wonderful.
all else fails, just arm wrestle for it.
I think that was a good discussion, so yeah, good, okay, wonderful, moving on the agenda, chair's report, I'm waiving chair's report. We have any older new business? Right, sorry, I mean, to hold people up, but we met with CB 4, 5, and 6 and the DOT today. And we reminded them that our mayor said he wants New York City streetscape and public transit to be the envy of the world. So we reminded them of that. We talked about busways and their meeting with Federal Highway Administration authorities who are skeptical. And so that is a lot of the holdup for 34th Street and 42nd Street. But if you think of big ideas that would make our streetscape the envy of the world, should think about them. And something on my mind is bus rapid transit for Second Avenue, I think is on my mind. But if any of you have ideas, we should, and this is kind of our opportunity this next year or two.
Barack, what do you mean by bus rapid transit on Second Avenue? What do you describe it as? Or how could you?
Well, it
Make
could
a
mean
word
one of
picture.
two things based on if it's gonna be a free bus or if it's gonna be a pay bus. So it depends on whether it's free, and there's different designs. But protecting the bus lanes, giving the signal priority to the buses. In Latin America, they pay before getting on and go to a station and then go on. But since it's the highest ridership in the whole United States, M15, it's right for bus rapid transit. So I just, that's kind of on my mind. But other things too.
How does that differ from tapping and paying at all of the doors?
Well,
Faster boarding.
yeah, faster boarding. I mean, if everybody's free, you don't need to worry. If it's free, you don't need to worry about it. But if it's not free, then you pay before you get on and then everybody
Similar
gets
to like
on.
OGS, like older
Things like
SBS.
that, like stations, like bus stations. It's just an idea.
I thought we'd moved beyond that.
Ever been to Cleveland? No, they have the best
Favorite,
BRT line
yeah.
in the country.
Yeah.
No, it's open for, I didn't mean this to us to go into the details of BRT, but I think Second Avenue is right for bus improvement. I agree with you and support it, but I think we technically have a bus signal priority on Second Avenue already. We do. We do.
Signal priority is a lot cheaper around the city. That
It's very
universal signal
smart.
priority
We do.
is very cool.
I thought so. I'm pretty sure. No? Okay, I might be wrong. I might be wrong.
If that signal, right,
There are some places along 42nd Street
Yeah.
where there's a special
Yeah.
signal that allows the bus to
Yes.
go through the intersection prior to the other traffic with the pedestrians.
I might be thinking of 34th Street. But the signal can hold green for the bus to go through and then turn red. So it can give buses signal power.
Well, I mean, the signal for the bus is a
White line.
vertical white line.
It's a different, that's something else. That's like a, what they call that, like a cut lane signal, but anyway, yes.
That's how you ensure that the buses go through.
I'm not gonna guess them. No? Do you have a comment, Michael?
Not really.
No, okay.
Actually, I did have a comment.
Please.
I wanted to ask very quickly, like. When you talk about bus rapid transit on Second Avenue, I definitely know that, I definitely think it could be improved, the BRT on there already. Are you talking about like improving the existing select bus service route?
So I think we can, I think we shouldn't go into detail here, but there is room for improvement. And we could have it as an agenda item. If Jason's okay with it in May or June, but
I mean, I get a big idea about the Second Avenue bus rapid transit, but I don't care. There's a part where you have there's a part near the Queensboro Bridge. where you got a lot of
Multiple units.
I love that, and from my experience of riding the bus on Second Avenue, you know, you're the go-to from Hunter College. The one thing I noticed is that you get on 68th Street, you get into Queensboro Bridge, near the tram and everything, and there's a huge line of cars that trying to get on and off the Queensboro Bridge and truck and big truck, and it honestly the longest part of the trip. I'm wondering if having two jump signals or some other thing could help improve that situation and can make it actually faster for the bus to get across the area of Manhattan and that be at a faster speed for the rest of it. Because I think that's really the part that slows down the bus.
That's something we can look at, but that is part of PRT. Okay, any other old new business? All right, seeing none, did we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All right, meeting is adjourned at 9:10 PM.
Thank you, Jason.